if you're looking at where you are versus where you've been, you're taking a look at that for a reason. It's probably because you're concerned about where you are. And that concern comes from somewhere. If you are purposeful about making what you learn about yourself into info, not ammo, then it will be a lot easier to give yourself credit for having the motivation to change, the willingness to change. Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery, where I help people heal their emotional, psychological, and spiritual wounds and make deep, lasting changes in their lives. I'm the founder and CEO of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting, LLC, where I coach people on how to develop healthy boundaries. On this podcast, I share my experience, strength, and hope from recovery. I don't support or endorse any particular 12-step recovery fellowship, and I don't claim to speak for any particular 12-step fellowship. I also don't believe that 12-step recovery is the only way to recover. You might need additional help. My hope is that you'll find my words concretely helpful in improving your life, whether you're in recovery or not. This is episode 158. How to stop comparing yourself to others and make the most out of your recovery. Stop comparing yourself to others. It's typically either going to lead you to feel like shit about yourself or that you're better than others. Either way, not good. It could also lead to things like jealousy and envy. It's just not a good practice to compare yourself to other people. Now, if you want to use someone as a role model to inspire you, that is a wonderful idea, and it can be an amazing way to drive you to do more than you'd normally do, which, by the way, I have a podcast about how to do that. It's episode 135, and it's called Go From Envy to Inspiration with One Simple Mind Shift. I'll put the link to that in the show notes. But if you want to compare yourself to others to say, I'm better or worse than them, that is not good. Instead, try comparing yourself to former you. If you want to make the most out of your recovery, you'll do that because you'll be keeping the focus on yourself and not on others. If you keep the focus on yourself and compare yourself to former you, it will be so much more fruitful. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, if you want to live your life on purpose, and I'm guessing you do, or you wouldn't be listening to my podcast, then the person whose opinion should matter most is yours. What you think of you should matter more to you than what others think of you. Now, that doesn't mean you don't take other people's opinion into consideration. Of course you do. But what really matters is how do you feel about yourself? Do you feel good about yourself when you put your head on the pillow at night? Another reason to compare yourself to former you is that you can see your progress. We don't know other people's full story, so it's really not fair to compare yourself to others. But we do know our own full story. That's why we have the saying in recovery, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. And guess what? I have an episode on that as well. I'll link that in the show notes. It's episode 66. And guess what it's called? Stop comparing your insides to other people's outsides. Now, it makes sense to look at where you are now compared to where you were in the past, especially if you're in recovery. If you don't like where you're at now, don't use that as a weapon against yourself. This is info, not ammo. That is, it's information for you to understand and integrate about yourself so that you can grow from it. It is not ammunition to beat yourself up. Remember that. Info, not ammo. And of course, I have an episode about that too. It was just a couple episodes, number 156. I'll be sure to link that one in the show notes too. For most of us, we've been getting better over the course of our lives. We've learned more as we've gone along. We've taken the lessons learned from our mistakes and put them into action. It might be, however, that you've actually been backsliding. Maybe you were making really good progress when you were younger, and you haven't been making such good progress lately. Or maybe you were doing great in your recovery and you hit a plateau, or maybe you've even relapsed. Well, instead of using that as ammo, remember, this is info. Maybe this is about your effort. Maybe you used to put a lot of effort in and you're not now. Are you putting in some kind of effort? Then focus on that. Focus on the fact that you're making some effort. If you're putting any kind of effort, that's important to note. At least you're doing something. So focus on that, because what you focus on grows. So focus on that, or focus on your motivation. That is, if you're looking at where you are versus where you've been, you're taking a look at that for a reason. It's probably because you're concerned about where you are. And that concern comes from somewhere. If you are purposeful about making what you learn about yourself into info, not ammo, then it will be a lot easier to give yourself credit for having the motivation to change, the willingness to change. And if I've learned anything in recovery, willingness will get you everywhere. And if you add a higher power to that, you will be unstoppable. Willingness plus higher power can tackle any obstacle, no matter how difficult it may seem. They say where there's a will, there's a way. And when you add a higher power to that willingness to find a way, you're gonna make it. So if you're comparing yourself to former you and you don't like what you see, then focus on your willingness to even make the comparison and your desire to do better. That desire comes from somewhere. Don't dismiss it. But whatever you do, stop comparing yourself to others. It's a lose-lose situation. I was recently reminded by a friend that when I first started recovery, I didn't feel lovable. I almost can't believe that I used to feel that way, and that I kind of forgot something so profound, because I truly love myself now. And I want that for everybody. If you don't love yourself, there's literally nothing that can make up for that. I created something exclusively for my private clients, since many of them don't love themselves. And I've now opened up my private vault to share it with up to 10 people individually. It's called the Self-Love Sprint. You'll grow to love yourself and truly feel worthy, so you can stop saying yes when you really want to say no, stop neglecting yourself and putting everyone else first, stop saying all kinds of nasty shit to yourself. That is not what people who love themselves and feel deserving do. You'll stop being afraid that others will think that you're selfish for taking time to care for yourself. This is also for you if you don't really know who you are, because you've always been such a fucking chameleon. Go to higherpowercc.com/love sprint. Remember, I'm only offering 10 of these, so don't wait. If you like this podcast, and I'm guessing you did or you wouldn't still be listening, then you're gonna love the other things I have to offer. If you'd love pre-release podcast scripts and episodes before anyone else gets them, or if you'd love access to content from my private vault that I developed exclusively for my private clients, which is like having a work session with me without me actually being there, go to patreon.com/higherpowercoaching. There are 3 tiers ranging from as low as $4 up to $24 a month. You'll also love my weekly newsletter, Friday Fragments, which has content very similar to the podcast. You can check it out at fridayfragments.news. That's fridayfragments.news. Please like and subscribe to my podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. I'd also love it if you'd leave a review, which you can do either in the show notes or on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other people find my podcast so they can get the benefits you've gotten from listening. If someone came to mind when you listened to this particular episode, please share it with them. And my favorite place to hang out on social media is Instagram. I'm at Higher Power Coaching. Please DM me there. I'd love to hear what you got from this episode. I run group and private coaching programs on building healthy boundaries. Whether you need help with boundaries in your personal, professional, or romantic life, I can help. Head on over to barbchat.net, where you can hop onto my calendar for a free 30-minute Better Boundaries consultation. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change. If that's you, I would love to work with you. My goal with all my work is to help you make lasting changes in your life like I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. Remember, it's never too late to recover. No one is beyond hope, and healing is possible. Thanks for listening.